There was tensions within the royal family before his wedding to Meghan Markle. Prince William thought that Prince Harry was rushing into the marriage, thought he should take some more time to get to know Meghan. And also there was concerns of how she would fit into royal life because she had her own mind, because she liked doing things her way. And that rubbed some people up the wrong way, that, people decided she was a bully. But in fact, she was an outspoken woman of colour. It's very lazy, isn't it, that outspoken women of colour are called bullies and aggressive, when actually we're just being outspoken women of colour.
They come from such different spaces. The royal family, this immutable institution, time immemorial, it's sort of been there unchallenged, unbending, and this, successful, ambitious woman who had other ideas, I think, probably for her life and her husband's life, and couldn't really get her head around the kind of inbuilt inferiority of the Sussexes versus the Cambridges.
Prince Harry felt that the rest of the royal family, particularly Prince William, Prince Charles and Queen Elizabeth II, should stick up for him and Meghan, should have defended them in the press, should have perhaps stopped the press from writing these stories about.
So, let's just take a collective breath after that moment, shall we? Because what Tessa and Afua said wasn't just conversation, it was truth-telling in a world that's allergic to honesty when it comes to Meghan Sussex. You could almost hear the royal PR machine choking on its pearls. Every time someone simply states facts about how Meghan was treated, you can practically hear the clinking of teacups in Kensington Palace. Because the truth has always been the thing the royals can't control, and Meghan is the truth they can't spin away. Let's start with that little nugget about William thinking Harry rushed into marriage. Oh, bless him. The man who proposed to Kate after nearly a decade of dating suddenly becomes the world's relationship expert. How convenient. Maybe William thought love was supposed to come with an HR-approved timetable and a Buckingham stamp of approval. But Harry had something rare, conviction. He met Meghan, saw her, truly saw her, and didn't need years of emotional red tape to know she was it. And that's what rattled the palace. Because Meghan wasn't just another +1 who'd nod politely and fade into the wallpaper. She had opinions, goals, ambition, a life before the tiaras. Oh, and let's not forget the audacity of having her own platform before marrying into the firm. That right there was crime number 1 in royal land, existing as a woman with agency. Now, Afua nailed it when she said it's lazy to call outspoken women of colour bullies. Lazy? It's beyond lazy. It's a whole industry. The British media practically runs on double standards. A white royal throws a tantrum and it's passion. Meghan asserts herself and it's diva behaviour. You'd think they'd at least come up with some new material by now. Remember those headlines? Duchess difficult. Meghan. Staff in tears. Meanwhile, Kate made her own staff cry too. That's in the record. But apparently when she does it, it's just the pressures of being a future queen. The double standard doesn't even try to hide itself anymore. And let's talk about that word fit. William and company were concerned about how Meghan would fit into royal life. Translation. They were concerned Meghan wouldn't shrink herself enough to make everyone else comfortable. Meghan wasn't supposed to fit into the royal family. She was supposed to elevate it. And she did, just by walking through the door. The royal institution, as Tessa pointed out, is immutable, unchanged, unbending, and frankly, stuck somewhere between Downton Abbey and a particularly stubborn museum exhibit. It's allergic to evolution. But Meghan represented everything it pretends to be while never actually achieving: diversity, empathy, modernity, and purpose beyond pageantry. You could almost see the hierarchy short-circuiting when Meghan started doing her job too well. The cookbook, the Smart Works project, Vogue's Forces for Change. Suddenly, the palace realised they had a problem. Not a scandal, not a misstep, but a success story they didn't control. See, the monarchy has always survived by managing narratives, but Meghan was her own narrator. That's what terrified them. They couldn't dictate her tone, her style, or her story. And if there's one thing the firm hates more than bad press, it's losing control. And Harry? Poor Harry thought the family would defend them. He really believed the royals, his blood, would step in and say, "Enough." Instead, they fed the wolves and called it diplomacy. The palace learned that silence is a weapon, and they used it to wound their own son. Imagine being Harry. Watching the same tabloids that hounded your mother to death go after your wife, and realizing your own family's PR office is slipping the wolves' scraps. And for what? To protect the image of the heir. Because that's the unspoken rule of royal PR. William's halo must shine, even if Harry's reputation burns. But here's what's poetic about all this. Meghan, the woman they tried to paint as the problem, ended up exposing the entire system as the real villain. The same system that rewards silence, punishes authenticity, and mistakes cruelty for tradition. You can call Meghan many things, but you can't call her fake. She told the truth about her mental health. She owned her story. And she didn't let the palace's centuries-old gaslighting convince her she was crazy for wanting basic human respect. That's not rebellion. That's survival. And Afua's point about outspoken women of colour being called bullies, that hit me right in the chest. Because how many times have we seen this playbook? The moment a black woman asserts herself, when she refuses to be meek, when she demands respect, she's suddenly aggressive, angry, or intimidating. It's racism in pearls and gloves. The palace just wraps it in etiquette. You'd think after all these years, someone at Buckingham Palace would take a diversity seminar. But no, they're still out here clutching the pearls whenever Meghan breathes without permission. And let's not forget the power dynamic Tessa pointed out, the built-in inferiority between the Sussexes and the Cambridges. That's the real crack in the crown. Because the monarchy isn't built on fairness, it's built on hierarchy. And Harry marrying Meghan messed with that sacred order. Suddenly, the spare wasn't supposed to have a wife who outshines the heirs. But guess what? She did. Effortlessly. Meghan walked into a 1,000-year-old institution and made it look like a charity gala from 1998. She didn't need titles or tiaras to make an impact. She had influence, the kind that can't be manufactured, and the establishment could not stand it. So they did what they always do when faced with someone they can't control. They tried to destroy her reputation. They weaponized the press, twisted stories, and created sources close to the palace out of thin air. It's the same strategy they used on Diana. Different decade, same dirty tricks. But here's the plot twist they didn't see coming. Meghan and Harry survived. Not only that, they thrived. They walked away and built something new. The institution lost control and the Sussexes found freedom. And that's the part that still drives the haters mad. They wanted Meghan broken, apologizing, begging for acceptance. Instead, she's flourishing in California, sipping her green juice, raising 2 gorgeous kids, working on meaningful projects, and living rent-free in the palace's collective mind. Every time Meghan breathes, there's a new source at the palace, shocked and disappointed. Please. The only thing they should be disappointed about is their own PR strategy. So when Afua and Tessa sit there and calmly speak truth to power, it's a reminder. The narrative is shifting. The old royal propaganda machine is losing its grip, because more and more people are seeing through it. They see that Meghan wasn't the problem. She was the mirror. She reflected the monarchy's outdated flaws right back at them, and they couldn't stand the view. And honestly, good. Sometimes the truth has to make people uncomfortable, especially people who've been comfortable for too long. Because Meghan didn't just challenge the monarchy, she exposed it. And she did it not with scandal, not with revenge, but with success. Every accomplishment, every public appearance, every time she chooses peace over pettiness, it's a masterclass in grace. So to all the women watching, especially women of colour who've been labelled too much or too loud or too ambitious, remember Meghan's story. She wasn't too much. The world was just too small. And as for the royal family, Maybe it's time they stop worrying about who fits in and start asking why their system still can't make room for authenticity. Because the problem isn't Meghan's independence, it's the monarchy's insecurity.